Thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday, September 21st here in Korea. Live from Seoul, I'm Han Da-eun. We start things off with domestic politics. Lawmakers are quizzing government officials on the second day of a parliamentary Q&A. For more, we go to our Shin Se-min, who's on the line for us from the National Assembly. Se-min, how are things going today?
Lawmakers returned from their lunch break just a little over an hour ago to resume the session that got started this morning. A dozen lawmakers are questioning government officials, and the main topics of discussion today are national security and foreign affairs. But North Korea policy has gotten most of the attention, especially in the wake of the North's fifth nuclear test, which is considered one of the most powerful yet. And some ruling party lawmakers in particular have continued to urge Seoul to arm itself with nuclear weapons. To that, Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn said the government will abide by international guidelines and that Seoul will continue to work with its allies in denuclearizing the Korean peninsula. Also ahead of today's session, lawmakers had agreed to pass yet another resolution condemning the regime for its continued provocations and called on the North to drop all of its nuclear development programs.
Well, it sounds like the government officials face some tough questions. And I hear there was another meeting today on other issues of national interest, including the powerful earthquakes and aftershocks that have hit Korea's southeastern city of Gyeongju. What more can you tell us about that?
Yes, in the earlier morning, officials from the ruling Saudi Party, the government, and the presidential office of Cheongwadae agreed to designate the southeastern city of Gyeongju as a special disaster zone after it was hit hard by two strong quakes last week. This designation allows the government to secure additional funds to help local residents. The Korea Meteorological Administration will also upgrade its emergency response systems so it can immediately send mobile alerts to the public in case of further quakes or aftershocks, which are still resonating throughout the region. Tan?
Thank you, Se-min, for tracking those developments. And also today, a 3.5 magnitude aftershock shook the quake-rattled area once again at 11:53 a.m. Korea time. The tremor was detected about 10 kilometers southwest of Gyeongju in Gyeongsangbuk-do province. More than 400 aftershocks occurred in areas near Gyeongju so far since a 5.8 magnitude quake, the main quake and the strongest in Korea's history, shook the province. North Korea's nuclear test site is coming under the microscope yet again. As satellite imagery show, the regime has covered an unused tunnel at the site, suggesting Pyongyang could be readying for its third nuclear test this year. Connie Kim reports.
North Korea may be readying for yet another nuclear test at an unused underground tunnel at its Punggye test site. Multiple sources within the South Korean government said Wednesday that North Korea has put a cover over the entrance of its second and third underground tunnel. The covers were set up even before the regime's fifth nuclear test on September 9th. Military and intelligence authorities are said to be keeping a close eye on any further activity that could suggest an imminent test. This month's nuclear test was conducted at the second underground tunnel, but no nuclear test has ever been conducted at the third one. The U.S.-based North Korea monitoring website 38 North had previously noted the cover at the second tunnel entrance was not removed after this month's test. But it has been revealed for the first time that the entrance to the third unused tunnel has been covered. In 2013, Pyongyang covered the entrance of a tunnel at its nuclear test site less than 2 weeks before conducting its third nuclear test to stop U.S. intelligence authorities from determining whether a detonation was imminent. With Pyongyang claiming this week that it successfully tested a rocket engine for a geostationary satellite, South Korean and U.S. military and intelligence authorities are strengthening their monitoring of North Korea. Incoming U.S. Strategic Commander John E. Hyten said that if the North has a capability to put a satellite into orbit, the rocket would be powerful enough to reach the continental United States. Connie Kim, ARIRANG News.
The U.S. has dispatched two B-1B bombers to South Korea as part of its extended deterrence against North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. This comes a little over a week after the U.S. sent two other B-1B bombers to South Korea, just days after North Korea's fifth nuclear test. The bombers dispatched then flew over the peninsula before returning to Andersen Air Force Base in Guam. However, one of the bombers dispatched today will remain at Ulsan Air Base south of Seoul for an intermediate period, while the other has already returned to Guam. The B-1B is considered the backbone of America's long-range bomber force. It has a payload of over 34,000 kilograms and can travel at speeds of over 1,500 kilometers per hour. From Guam, it would take the bomber just 2 hours to reach the North Korean capital. On the economic front, the number of long-term unemployed is on a sharp rise here in Korea, further stoking concerns the country is falling into a prolonged period of low growth. Hwang Ji-hye tells us more.
Data from Statistics Korea shows the number of people unemployed for more than 6 months stood at 182,000 last month, up 62,000 from a year earlier. That marks the fastest on-year rise on record. Related data was first compiled in June 1999 based on revised standards. The number of long-term unemployed has risen by 10 to 20,000 every month on average since 2014, but the pace has shot up since July this year when the figure went up by 51,000. The ratio of long-term unemployed among the overall number of people out of work is also rising fast. The figure came in at over 18% last month, the highest since late 1999 when Korea was struggling to get back on its feet after the 1997 Asian financial crisis. While short-term unemployment is considered a natural economic phenomenon, experts say long-term unemployment raises worries the domestic economy is in a prolonged period of sluggish growth. And concerns about massive long-term unemployment are piling up as the government pushes through its overhaul of struggling corporate sectors. The restructuring of ailing shipbuilding and shipping firms has already resulted in soaring jobless rates in the country's southern regions, where shipyards and ports are concentrated. Experts say in times of sluggish growth, those layoffs could end up becoming extra cases of long-term unemployment. Hwang Ji-hye, ARIRANG News.
And that's all for now. Stay tuned for more top stories here on ARIRANG. Thank you for watching.